and increase the amount of renewables in the market, we have to have transmission. And we are at a point where we can put a wind farm up in 4 to 5 years. The one we're working on now encompasses 750,000 acres. It'll be the largest project in the Western Hemisphere. But in order to get it out to market, we're working with the chairwoman and the Arizona Corporation Commission through the Southwest Power Group as the anchor tenant on the SunZia transmission line. It's a 550-mile long, 500 kV line, 2 lines, a DC and an AC. And without that long-term vision on the transmission, we can't build this. That 5 years to build a wind farm is more than doubled on the transmission side. So we're really looking at average time in the West of about 12 years to build a single transmission line. Back east, it's about 22. And so there are projects that will be long passed by before we get transmission built. So we are strong fans of interregional collaboration, working with the utilities, with the commissions, and also looking at a Western RTO, at a regional transmission organization. Whether it's in the form of an RTO or just better regional planning and long-term planning, as Tom mentioned, we have to have that, or we are limited by the amount of renewables that can actually come in. And we understand that it is a transition. And one of the speakers mentioned earlier that we still need oil and gas, we need renewables. Right now, we understand that we need all of it while we're in this transition, but our long-term goal is to transition the world to renewables, and that's what we're making strides towards.
And planning is key, and I think that's where the chambers can come in, because, you know, as a community plans for growth, it needs to understand where that growth is going. Obviously, we need that distribution and transmission planning to happen. You know, in Texas, we just took a leap of faith with our CREZ lines. You know, we literally built transmission lines to nowhere, and people thought we were crazy. And the idea there was the old build it and they will come. Yeah. And so that's how Texas has become a leader in renewable energy, particularly wind. You know, we just built lines into West Texas. Huge investment. I think the original estimate was $5 billion. It ended up being like $8 or $9 billion, right? But at the end of the day, we now see the results. We are a robust renewable energy grid. And I think, you know, in New Mexico and Arizona, you know, taking on that responsibility, and it's not that risky because you know that they will come, right? You're already here. And so as we try to attract more companies to come to our regions, we need to be able to have not only the policy in place, but also, you know, the will to take risks, right? Madam Chair, in Arizona, what kind of growth are you seeing in this arena of renewables? Because obviously everybody wants to get there, but, you know, with respect to regulatory constraints, you know, we also have those limitations. So what are you seeing in Arizona? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the projects that are coming in.
Right, and I'll tell you, we're seeing not only incredible economic growth in Arizona, we're still one of the fastest growing states in the nation. We are seeing a number of renewable projects come throughout the state. I think some of the challenges we're facing, if I could tangent a little
Please.
bit, but is I think the unintended consequences of our clean energy transition. We have a number of coal-impacted communities that are seeing, you know, shutdowns of their plants and mines and so on. And I don't think we've, as a nation, as a state, as a region, have wrapped our arms around that. In Arizona, I know we are starting to have public comment sessions. Is there a responsibility to coal-impacted communities? And we don't want economically downtrodden, really negatively impacted communities in different pockets throughout the state. So I think how, I guess back to your question, renewable energy projects can help those coal-impacted communities as they transition is key. The transmission exists. I think we haven't, I guess, pulled out all the different solutions or different opportunities in those markets. I myself have had a lot of conversations with our federal delegation, with those that serve at the Federal Energy Committee level, with our governor's office, our state legislature, certainly the commission. But as a commission, we control the ratepayer dollars. What role do they have as compared to some of the other resources that are out there? I think we're really in a lot of flex right now. So I encourage you to get involved in that conversation in whatever state you're representing.
And I know that chambers, the last thing you need is another committee, right, to manage. But having an energy-related committee, if you don't have one already, that works in conjunction with regulators, I think is probably one of the best things you can do, simply because regulators aren't hearing from us, right? They're not really listening to us. They're hearing from lobbyists, which is fine. But at the same time, we need to hear from small business. We need to hear from those that are impacted not only by the cost, but also by the reliability factors. And so, going back home and trying to figure out how at least you can, have a say-so, get involved in getting appointed to positions of power that will allow you then to carry that voice, I think is very important. With respect to investment, I think sending those right signals all over the world. In Texas, we have companies pretty much from everywhere coming in with their renewables, mostly from Spain, South Korea, Germany. But, we need to be able to send those signals. And we're not going to be able to do that half-heartedly. It has to be all in, and it needs to start with our regulatory bodies, right? Because that's where those signals come through with respect to pricing, with respect to market forces, and with respect to build-out. And so, I'm really encouraged, especially, Madam Chair, to see that you're at the helm in Arizona. We're border states. Mexico needs cheap energy for their manufacturing operations. In Texas, we've been reluctant to cross borders and get into interstate commerce because Texas is just that way. They don't want any federal oversight with respect to the grid. But we see a great example in Baja where we're generating electricity on the Mexican side, and having that trade of electricity, I think, is so important. And so I know in Arizona, there's talk about that. I don't know if you're already doing it, but with multinational companies like yours, Jeremy, I think being able to straddle borders, straddle jurisdictions, I think is very important, because then you can control the dialogue on both sides, right? And so I encourage you also, especially chambers that are along the border, to look into this, cross-border trade of electricity. Different peak times, people in Mexico have a different peak time than ours. And so you have really true different markets, right, at the same time. So this is an open question to any of you. Are you seeing that? I mean, I know PNM, you're up here in northern New Mexico, but what are you seeing with respect to the possibilities of really doing this cross-border trade of electricity?
Yeah, it's interesting. This was part of our conversation last night at dinner. As a Hispanic Chamber president, we did a lot of cross-border work with Sonora, the state closest to us. We traveled to Mexico City quite often in a delegation. And so as a commissioner, I immediately reached out to think, what is our interconnection? What's the history? Why don't we have more? And so we just traveled in December, a group, about 25 of us. I was there as a commissioner, but a lot of different industry, to Mexico City to understand the president's position on the energy rules that had passed in the past, and whether that was going to be enforced, and what role Sonora might play in that. We heard of large solar plans and development in the Rocky Point area, which is up in Sonora. And so what opportunity does that provide for Arizona? So, I mean, starting a lot of those conversations. For me, it's challenging. It's all relationship based, as you all know who work in Mexico, and it's very centralized in Mexico. So how do I, as an Arizona commissioner, engage with the capital was key. So still continuing that conversation and dialogue, but it's very interesting to me.
Tom, are you seeing any of that in your space?
Yeah, no, and I think our focus is really maybe around the interstates, if you would. And again, I think, it is that regional transmission organization, if you would, that facilitates more of that interconnections. We have most of the utilities in the West have joined what's called the Cal Energy and Balance Market, which provides a real-time energy, but it's not quite far enough to do the full-scale trading interactions that you would. So again, I think we've been maybe just watching to see if California ISO would kind of come around to governance. I think we're kind of all giving up on that idea. And so, I mean, most of us in the Western utilities, we've formed an exploratory group to look at more of a wider RTO organization that we're exploring very heavily, that I think can help us with some of that.
Great. Jeremy, from your perspective?
Yeah, we've got a number of projects under development in Mexico. I think some of the policies that the chairwoman was referring to are causing significant issues to be able to develop more in Mexico right now. There are also some limitations on the grid interconnections. There are a couple proposed projects that will link Arizona to Mexico. and be able to help with that transfer. But at the end of the day, we still need that transmission. That does require approval from the president. So there are some limitations there, additional policies that we need to explore, but that there is a significant opportunity there, as you said. And as we get more interconnected, the more integration we'll have with all of the various forms of energy. And what you will start seeing is a smoothing out, and we will not have some of the heavy fluctuations. We won't have the problems that Texas experienced, but that can only be accomplished through interconnection.
Thank you. Any parting comments that you'd like to share? I'll leave you with the last word.
No, I'll just say thank you again for the invitation. It's an honor to be here. I did want to recognize Chairman of the New Mexico Public Utility Commission, Joseph Maestas, is back there. I can't see him, but so good to have you here, Joe. Yeah, but thank you again, and just again, my parting comment would be please engage with your commission. Every state has one, whether we're appointed or elected or constitutionally created or whatever it may be, and I think we play an important role, especially if you're here as a private industry looking to get involved in the energy industry. But thank you again.
Thank you.
No, I want to, again, appreciate the opportunity. I think for us it is, we aren't going to get there with what we've done in the past, so we're going to have to make some changes, and I think we need some policy changes, and I think we're all going to have to work closely together, kind of leave some of our pet issues at the door, and solve some of this together, because we need to do it together. So
Absolutely. Jeremy?
Very much appreciate the opportunity. Chamber, Ernie and I have known each other for a very long time, and just appreciate the opportunity. What I would ask is that the Chamber not only focus on getting more involved in the regulatory matters, but also engaging with the private business and also the legislative. At the end of the day, the legislative and creating that stable business environment, legislative changes cause substantial concern for private investment and something that we can't live with in many instances. So I would ask the Chamber to continue their great work with the legislature, also getting more involved with the Regulatory Commission and privates. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, there you have it. I guess for me, the main message is get involved. Without electricity, we're left in the dark, and, we've got to be able to, fight for our business, and that's the way to do it. So thank you all very much. Thank you, panel. Appreciate it.
We are honored to invite our next speaker to the stage to offer closing remarks. Friends and colleagues, please welcome the co-founder of Blue Wave SDP, Ms. Alma del Toro.
Ooh, they are bright. Hello, everyone. Buenas tardes. What a joy to be here today, and what a stunning day and event. The Energy Summit, organized by the United States Hispanic Chamber. Big applause to Santa Fe, the coolest city, for having us here. We had a great day listening to outstanding leaders about all the opportunities in the energy sector, as well as the challenges for us as Hispanic businesses. I stand here with a great honor and a privilege as one of the co-founders of Blue Wave Supplier Development Platform, along with my business partner, Eduardo Nunez, who's here sitting with us. We are both veterans from the energy sector, myself from BP and Eduardo from ExxonMobil. And as veterans from the energy sector, we saw and we see the challenge for minority and diverse businesses to qualify and compete for contracts with global corporations. We created Blue Wave, Eduardo and I, joined by the same mission of changing the world one supplier at a time. With Blue Wave, thank you. We truly live our mission. Blue Wave is inspired and designed to help minority and diverse businesses understand the global and international requirements so that we can help them not only understand where they are, but develop so that they can compete for contracts with these global corporations. We're very proud. We operate in the United States and abroad. And I'm very proud to also share with you today that we have been designated as one of the strategic partners with the AIPN, the American Petroleum Institute, to develop and build supplier capability for our sector. We're also going to be participating in the OTC explaining how Blue Wave is one of the solutions to solve this problem of creating and building supplier diversity for the sector. I'm also very proud to share with you that not only we're working in the energy sector, we now work across industries. And today is a very, very big day for us, because today we sign an agreement with the United States Hispanic Chamber to join forces and find ways to make Blue Wave Supplier Development Platform accessible to all the Hispanic businesses in the United States. Blue Wave is very dear to my heart and very personal. As a Mexican American raised in Chicago, in La Villita, and in Jalisco, I witnessed and lived the experience that my family went through in order to give us education. They had no education and very, very limited resources. But they instill in us, like other leaders stand here and explain, our responsibility to make a difference. And I've seen how the power of education can change the platform and detonate economic development, not only for a family, but for generations. And that is what inspires me and inspires Eduardo, and that is the sole purpose of Blue Wave. We want to detonate economic development across all the communities in the United States, and we need to work together to do this. And with this, I want to conclude by saying that we're very proud of Hispanic business-owned, a minority ourselves certified, and very proud to work with large corporations, with governments and associations to make a difference. And I want to end by asking all of you to please give a huge applause to the United States Hispanic Chamber and all of the Hispanic chambers for their outstanding leadership. They walk the talk, and also for their commitment to help build a true sustainable economic development in the United States. Thank you very much.